I have a Mac, unfortunately, and one day the disk died. When I wanted to replace it, I discovered this. The form factors are completely different, which is either because Apple made their own form factor or because it's just really old. By different form factors, I mean that the old thing is not the same as a M.2 disk. Now eventually I discovered it's possible to buy an intermediate card, letting me play a M.2 disk into this Apple machine. At the same time, I find it kind of funny that I actually need to plug my disk into a dongle to make it work with my Apple machine. It might not be Apple's fault, but it's funny nonetheless. But that's not the end of the story, because when I turned it on, the battery was completely dead. So it's practically a stationary laptop now. I need a charger everywhere. A great example of where this is a problem is this here when I tried to run Go.Engine, which you can see the power supply didn't really like. At some point, the whole computer just goes dark. So then I had to buy a new battery, and today it arrived. Now I bought a used battery, but I didn't really know that I was getting half a Mac on the on the go. So yeah, you can see it's probably someone who broke their Mac and then just gave it to MacNest. Anyway, the procedure for actually replacing a Mac battery, at least on my model, is really simple. You remove the back, which I have already done off camera. Then what you should do is to detach the battery, which I forgot about. Not ideal exactly, but it went fine. The next thing is to unscrew the battery, which is literally just 5 screws. So that's not a big problem that either. You just need to locate them and then find the right screwdriver, which is the actual problem. The screwdriver I was missing here was really nothing more than a small Torx. Luckily, I got to borrow one of those. Now, as I said, the thing I should have been doing was to unplug the battery, which I didn't do because I just went ahead and unscrewed the screws. But I could potentially have damaged the circuit as there is technically live power connected to it. But just be careful. Now what will eventually happen when I'm done unscrewing all the screws is that I remember that I won't get the battery out unless I actually unplug it. So now I do it, but I should have been doing it a bit earlier. Now just double checking the guide, I see that the next thing is to remove the battery from the PC, which is really not that complicated procedure. You just need to get a grip and then it's out. It sort of look like this. It's a for lithium-ion cells. And it's getting the new one out and then just screwing it back in. Should fit right in. There's some weird text here, I don't really know what it is. It's actually really handy because there were only one screw to get the battery out of the broken half piece of Zombie Mac. Once that was done, it's really just screwing it back in. Nothing more fancy. Yeah, I'm remembering to plug the battery in, but that's it's sort of necessary to even get the lid on because it's such a small PC. So it's kind of hard to forget. Even I can remember it. And there we go. The only thing left to do now is really just to screw the lid back in, which is sort of boring to watch, so I'll just skip it. And now, will it boot or not? I've muted the sound because it's really annoying in class, but as we can see, it boots. And it's 48% power, which is significantly more than 0%. But anyway, the battery needs calibration after this procedure to report accurately or something. You basically charge it to 100% and then you use it until it dies, and then you charge it to 100% again, and then it should be somewhat calibrated. I don't really know the intricate mechanics of how this calibration works, but you can Google it or use an alternative search engine for obvious reasons. Now, since this is a early 2015 Mac, it's we're nearly approaching its 10-year anniversary. I tend to just want to fix stuff or repair it instead of buying something new, because if it works, then heck, why stop using it if it works for my purposes? So it's also a really big shit on Apple to make it work more than 5 years or whatever their service interval is now. So I'm really enjoying this. However, I'm never ever buying a Mac again, because they're usually overpriced, and also, at least my experience with having a MacBook and running Linux, it's been a problem with hardware support. Especially the Broadcom Wi-Fi chips have caused me a headache. Sometime in the past I made it work, but on this run I've not been able to make my Wi-Fi work on this PC yet. So I'm currently USB tethering, but I'll probably figure it out at some point. I've just not bothered to actually fix it. But the real test. Does it run Go.engine now with the battery? Please don't explode. Come on. You can do it. And the engine is loaded. This is where it crashed. Oh, it loads the project actually. And it hasn't exploded yet. It should do fine, at least in theory. This machine has been great for making games earlier. At least not AAA games, but 3D games in my league, and let's put it that way. Anyway, it's nice to have the machine back. It's been a hassle to sort of power it off, power it on, power it off, power it on, and especially when the Mac sound was enabled as well. That was I got some nice looks in all the auditoriums at the university. Anyway, goodbye.